Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. Politics is a human endeavour, and on a personal basis I know that this is a difficult day for Denis Naughton, for his friends and his family. But going back to maybe 20 years or more, and the mire of controversy that gave rise to the Moriarty tribunals, we've set really strict codes of conduct of how to handle any contract of the state, and certainly any major procurement. It's been set out again and again of code of conduct, right down to individual projects. And it is crystal clear to everybody that decision makers, and ultimately the minister is responsible in any department, cannot have direct contact with bidders. I spoke to one procurement person in the last 24 hours, and they said when they were involved in procurement, they'd actually cross the road if they saw somebody involved in the bidding process coming towards them. That's the level that had been seared into the public service here in relation to the awarding of contracts subsequent to the really damaging things that happened in this state 20 years ago. So it really was disquieting, to put it at its mildest, that there was a series of contacts and now further contacts. So I agree that, despite what I've said on a personal basis, I know Denis to be a most honourable man that I've known for many years. He did the right thing by standing aside. Taoiseach, you've said that rural broadband and the project of the National Broadband Plan is the most important infrastructural project of the government. It is the most important infrastructural project for Ireland, for rural Ireland in particular. But where are we now? Because my belief, and I said it last year, the allowing of 300,000 of the broadband plan clients, potential clients, to be taken out by air last year, I believed was a fatal blow to the plan. I think subsequent to that, many of the bidders withdrew, and you were left now with a consortium that seemed to be like Lanigan's ball, because at any given point of time you weren't sure who actually was part of it. And I really was confused when the lead bidder, ENET, suddenly became a supplier, and the lead bidder was a consortium led by a US-based finance house. But for the people of Ireland right now, the most fundamental question is this: where stands the broadband plan this minute? Your response so far, Taoiseach, is there is a review to be had, as far as I understand it, by an ethics person on the probity of the process to date. But that's not good enough. That's not enough. We need to have a clear direction from you very quickly about how this plan is to be put back in place, because I don't think you need an expert in probity. And I know, I see the Taoiseach beside you. It is odd that this morning the line taken by the Taoiseach was so strong in defence of what happened, despite the fact that you had effectively fired Taoiseach, Minister Naughton, last night. In his own words, you'd use those normal words that Taoiseachs use: consider your position. I think we need now to accept that what's happened to date has undermined the broadband plan, and we need to have, in a collective way, and I think everybody in this House would work in consort to do this, to provide support for what can get this plan back on track. Because the most important outcome that we want from this entire debacle at this stage is to ensure that the many people in rural Ireland, in my constituency and across every county in this country, who are crying out for equality in terms of broadband connections, are connected. And I would hope that Minister Bruton, who has just been appointed Minister in this regard, would very quickly acquaint himself with all the elements involved, and come back speedily within the next number of days to this House with a set of solutions on the road to provide that broadband.